the 3% rev share that pilot we did in North America, then we expanded globally. So now all regions actually have field aligned people in the sales organization whose responsibility is to basically align end customer requirements with the partners that are in our program, and then bring them into more of a solution framework, and help drive those bigger deals, and particularly burn down commits, right? So, and by 2022, to show a scale, what was X in 2019 was over 10X in 2022, and actually substantially over 10X.
Join our 5-week course on cloud marketplaces and learn how to tap into the $250 billion spend that enterprises have committed to AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. Discover the future of go-to-market with Roman. During weekly sessions, you'll learn how to leverage this fast-growing channel and network with industry experts and partnership leaders. We'll dive into marketplace strategies, internal buy-in, building relationships with the cloud, and mastering co-sell. Join our upcoming cohort.
I'm really excited to have Avanish Sahai with us. Avanish is probably one of the most knowledgeable people when it comes to go-to-markets in marketplaces, building marketplaces. He was in Google Cloud, where he was leading go-to-markets for marketplace. And then before that, he was in ServiceNow, Salesforce, and other great companies. So like a lot of experience, and I'm really looking forward to hearing his thoughts about how to succeed in partnering with Google Cloud and how to build cross-selling motion and its strategy.
Again, long career. For the last few years was I led the Salesforce App Exchange business, then went on to ServiceNow to build primarily their technology and ISV partner ecosystem. And then lastly, for Google Cloud, as part of their scale up, was recruited to build their go-to-market programs, co-sell marketplace, as well as a recruitment and the go-to-market motions with ISVs and tech partners. And along the way, have done some work with boards, have been focused particularly on products and how to build ecosystems, and the journey from single product to multi-product to platform. So let me spend a couple minutes and talk a little bit deeper about Google Cloud itself, or GCP, because again, that's where I spent my last few years before I retired. And I think it's been a relatively quick evolution and a lot of lessons learned coming from this, right? So I joined Google Cloud in 2019. And with the charter of building out the ISV and tech partner motion, both from who do we recruit, how do we align them with core Google Cloud offerings, and then how do we go to market with them, right? And on the go to market front, GCP Marketplace was already in place, but candidly, it was relatively nascent. There was not a lot of resource commitment to it, mainly because the organization didn't necessarily believe that this was a critical part of a go-to-market to an enterprise target segment. So we were, from a functionality perspective in 2019, we're pretty far behind AWS or Azure even. And the program was basically, there was a rev share of 20%, and there was no field alignment. It truly was, hey, here is a marketplace, it exists. Whoever chooses to transact on it, it's fine, but there was no real concerted motion behind it. And the success metrics really were, how many apps or integrations do we have, and how often do they get installed? Okay? And I can't disclose the numbers, but call the billings as X. By 2020, 2021, we had done a lot of research. We had talked to a lot of customers. We had, frankly, found that we were losing to the competition. And this was, as you all know, this is a pretty aggressive competitive landscape. And we put in place a much more robust product roadmap, which included things like integrated billing, private offers, which we can talk more about. But then also some changes to kind of the go-to-market motion. So the 20% rev share was kind of industry standard in 2020. But there was also a lot of pushback on that, which was what is the partner getting out of that 20%, number one. And then two, there was really no, like I mentioned, in 2019, there was no field alignment. So basically it was a partner management team, my team, recruiting these partners and then saying, hey, welcome to Google Cloud. We didn't really have the resources or the capacity to engage in the field. So I worked with some of our field leaders, and in 2020 we did a pilot of hiring people in the field that were go-to-market focused. So there's where headcount coming from sales, not from my team, that were mapped to specific partners, ISV and tech partners, and geographies. And we piloted that in North America first. And then we also introduced the notion of burning down these commits that big customers were doing. They were doing $100 million up to $1 billion commits over 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. And saying, hey, those commits, if you engage with the marketplace motion, we'll burn down those commits with a partner sale through the marketplace. So that created an incentive for both ISVs to come onto our platform, because usually we were the second or even sometimes the third platform. Most people were already running on one of the other cloud platforms. So we needed some ways to kind of get them on. And then two, align with customers on saying, hey, if you commit to our platform, not only can you convert custom workloads and maybe design new workloads, which takes slightly longer, we'll have these set of partners who can kind of, once they're on our platform and they're certified and you can transact with them on the marketplace, it makes it easier from a terms and conditions, from a contractual vehicle, and fundamentally from a burn down of the commit to engage with us. So we kind of did this mapping to cloud billings, and that took some work with finance and with leadership, but it was an important aspect of kind of how we started to, drive more and more business. So in this case, success metrics kind of moved towards, hey, how much are we actually transacting? Much more visible, in addition to the number of applications, integrations, et cetera, which continued. And in that time, 2020 timeframe, we already went 3x the billings that we had in 2019. So it was a pretty rapid growth, and really showcased to the CEO, Thomas, and others that there was something here, and the market was starting to change pretty quickly towards this fulfillment from a marketplace. So we were able to get resources on the product side, on the go-to-market side, on the field side, et cetera, to build this out in a much more robust fashion. And then 2022 plus, towards the right, added further functionality. So some things we didn't have were like reseller support, which again, I can talk more about, or a bit more of self-service onboarding. So these things are starting to roll out. In the meantime, our friends at Microsoft, actually Azure, reduced their rev share in sometime in 21 from 20% to 3%. And that caused the rest of the industry, the rest of the players in the cloud service provider space, to also kind of come down and match it, which is a lot more reasonable. It kind of helps cover some costs, some operational costs and so on, but removes a bit of that objection of the 20% rev share, which frankly, if I'm brutally honest, as a investor, board member, et cetera, if I would look at that number, I would question, because I still have to invest in that sales and marketing. I still have to put in my resources in place. So this is a 20% fee is actually quite high if I'm not able to reduce my core sales and marketing expenses. The 3% rev share, that pilot we did in North America, and then we expanded globally. So now all regions actually have field aligned people in the sales organization whose responsibility is to basically align end customer requirements with the partners that are in our program, and then bring them into more of a solution framework, and help drive those bigger deals, and particularly burn down commits, right? So, and by 2022, just for, again, to show scale, what was X in 2019 was over 10X in 2022, and actually substantially over 10X. This is public data, so I can disclose it. GCP in 2018 was a $4 billion business. GCP in 2023 is a $30 billion business. So in basically 5 years, the business has grown from 4 to 30. right? 7.5 times. Now, one could say, hey, all of a sudden GCP came out of third place. Where is it now? Well, it's actually still in third place. It's still about 9% market share of the overall cloud. Why? Because AWS has grown, Azure has grown, the shift of workloads from on-prem to cloud is kind of still very active. So on the one hand, you've got demand that's grown at a pretty rapid clip. And again, if you think about GCP specifically, which is what I most talk about, we brought in world-class go-to-market teams from SAP, from Salesforce, from Oracle, from Microsoft, etc., who had relationships, who had senior level engagement models, and we put in place a go-to-market motion that basically helped us scale very aggressively, right? So, and like I said, there were billion with a B dollar commits that some major brands globally made to GCP, for example, right? So on the one hand, you have this demand, and you have this massive numbers waiting to be consumed. On the other hand, I think the GCP product, the platform product, was always very good, and I'm biased, but I think it was always very good. But it kept getting better. And I think some of the motions around, particularly, we had call center AI, we had vision AI, we had AI before AI was hot. And I think it helped that in many situations, some of these partners were thinking forward. And many of them actually had architectures which allowed them to use a multi-cloud model where some of their AI work was already being done on GCP by 21, 22, right? So that was another driver of consumption. And third, and I'll take a tiny bit of credit for this, we were a little bit more targeted in saying, hey, what are the industries, what are the use cases, what are the areas where we can actually bring something unique to the table with partners? So we don't have, and I keep saying we, I'm no longer there, but bear with me. We don't have a come one, come all. It's not like you can go to the website and just sign up and become a marketplace partner or co-sell partner. We were much more targeted, partly because it made sense. We wanted to, commit some resources, and we couldn't do that for everybody walking in the door, and partly because it helped us manage resources as well, right? So we were able to say, hey, here's how we're going to scale, here's we're going to prove this scale model. I don't need infinite number of resources, but we can deliver pretty substantial results with relatively limited resources. So both from a customer perspective, a partner perspective, and a Google Cloud resource perspective, we were able to match some of this.